Assalamualaikum, hello, hi, and welcome to Cooking is Fun with Firdaus, guys. Today I'll be showing in how to make a Mcqueen cake, which I recently made for my son's birthday party, and he really loved it as usual. So I'm just going to share how I made it as well as how we celebrated. So let's begin. Here are the list of ingredients, which I'll be clearly mentioning in the description box below. First, I'm going to begin melting in the chocolate chips along with the cream for about 10 minutes in the microwave, and once it is melted, I'm going to whisk well to form a nice chocolatey liquid. Once it's formed, I'm going to add the butter to it. Butter gives a very beautiful glaze to your chocolate, especially to the ganache. So I'm going to add that and whisk it until the butter is melted, and then I'm going to cling wrap this and leave it in the refrigerator for about 5 to 6 hours. Once this is done, we'll move on to the next. Here I'm going to create a template using in the baking tray which I'll be using in. So here I have first cut the top part of the cake to design the cake well from all the sides. So once I done this, I'm going to go on for the next one. That is the side part, the side template of the card. So this is going to help me in designing in my side template of the card. And it's going to be calculated. Everything has to be calculated. The wheels, the side, everything. Even the lightning on the car has to be templated first. Then I'll move on to the fondant part where I'll be doing in the wheels, the numbers and the lightnings along with the birthday boy name. Here once this is done, I'm just going to give a beautiful sideline, or what you can say a border line, to the names and the numbers so they look very pretty, and it really creates a very beautiful effect for the lightning. So once this is done, I'm going to keep this aside. After this, I'll move on to the next step, that is creating in the lightning effect. So for this, I'm using in a yellow gel color with a red petal, dust petal color. So this is very important part where you give a nice sunshade look to your lightning. And once you're done, let it dry, and once it is dried, you can give a border line again to create a lightning effect. So once you do this, repeat the same with the other lightning also, because it has 2 lightning. Here I'll be doing in 4 actually, 2 for the sides and 2 for the back one. After this, I'm going to create the wheels. I created the fondant black wheel and let it dry, and then the red I spread it in the middle in the circle shape. Once I done that, I smoothly tapped it. If you don't have a tool, you can also use a tissue paper. Once you gently press it, then you can start using in again the edible pen to give a good look like a wheel. And that's it. Let it dry now. Moving on to making in the cake. First we will whisk the flour, the cocoa powder along with the baking powder and mix them well. Okay, here I'm making my buttermilk, where I'm using 1 glass of milk, 3/4 glass of milk in fact, with 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. I'm going to mix it well. Set this aside for 20 to 30 minutes and you will get your buttermilk ready. Moving on to the next. Here I have 6 eggs. So I'm going to add the egg whites to the stand mix. Once this is done, I'm going to whisk the egg whites. As I whisk it, I'm going to add the sugar and whisk until it's nice and fluffy. And once this is done, I'm going to add the rest of the wet ingredients to the dry ingredient and mix it well. After this, little by little, I'll be adding in the egg white to form a dough with the spatula using cut and fold method. This is very important. So once you do this, you can now add around 1 glass of milk and again blend it well. Then here I'm adding 1 teaspoon of ice cream flavor and 1 teaspoon of chocolate flavor to the dough. And once this is done, the batter is ready. What I'm doing is, in the same tray which I showed you, I just greased it with the butter paper on it. I'm going to pour the chocolate batter on it. I'm just keeping a track of how much of batter I'm using it, so I'm just using in a proper spoon for me to keep a track of it. Once this is done, I will ensure that it spreads across the tray and give it a nice tap so that all the air bubbles are released. This will ensure that my cake bakes in a flat and it's not getting any humps all over, as you can see this. So once this is done, I'm going to bake approximately 3 layers like that, and 3 cakes in the aluminium foil like this. As you can see, the aluminium foils. So once this is done, I'll let the cake cool down completely, and meanwhile I'm going to work on my ganache. As you can see, my ganache is nicely thickened up and it looks very yummy. Okay, and now I'm going to blend this until in a very smooth, very smooth cream. Once this is done, the cake is cooled down, everything is ready. All I have to do is start assembling in my car. So first layer of the cake, and then here is some sugar syrup to be drizzled on the cake. And once this is done, I'm going to now apply the ganache on it. Like that, I have used 3 layers of the cake. As you can see, the 3 layers are ready. Next, I'm going to use the template to give the shape of the car first, the top layer which is required. So that I'm going to do it, and I'm going to cut the shape of the car first. So as you can see, with the help of the template, I'm cutting it. Once this is done, I'm going to now crumb coat the cake completely with the ganache and ensure that it's been chilled before I move on to the next step. So after this, I kept it in the fridge to get chilled. Meanwhile, I'm working on the bumper, the front engine, and the car, the windows and the doors and all that stuff. So for that, again, we need to cut the bumpers. There you go. I'm just using the cut pieces to give a nice hump kind of a stuff. So I'm just going to keep the bumpers first, the back ones. So that's done. As you can see, it helped me very well. Again, I'll drizzle some sugar syrup on it. And once this is done, I'll move on to the next, the middle part of the car, which is where the seats has to be with the windows, the doors and all. So once this is done, this is for the headlights, the humps which we get in the front part of the car. So here what I'm doing is I'm just using the leftover whatever I have cut, the sides, the arcs which I cut, those arcs I'm using it to give a nice humps in the back side. It will give a nice hump shape. So I did not throw away. So don't throw away anything which you are cutting in the cake. So just keep it so you can use it on your cake for giving a good shape. So that is what I did here. And with the help of the ganache, I'm just trying to stick it, and then finally I covered the whole cake with the ganache and put it in the freezer for at least 1 to 2 hours and let it freeze. Not freezer, sorry, fridge. And after that, I started working on my fondant. So here you see, the fondant I rolled is the red color fondant, and after rolling it, I placed it onto the car. There you go. So once you're done, you smooth out from the top and slowly you come to the edges, and then you smooth. As you keep doing it, you will come down and try to smooth out the edges with your hands itself rather than and if your hands are too sticky or too wet, then you can also use tissue paper or any sponge which you have to bring a good shine onto the cake. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm using a sponge and a tissue, and that is what I did. Finally, I was able to get a beautiful shape out of it, and I gave a nice shine to it by rubbing it with the sponge and then cutting the wheels, sticking on the wheels with some edible glue and ganache. And then on the back side, I put on this board where it's written rust ease and all that stuff, and with the lightning, I stick the lightning onto the sides and the numbers on the lightning. This was fun when I was doing it. I really enjoyed it. thoroughly doing it. So as you can see, next I'm working on the eyes part of the car. That looks beautiful. Oh, the eyes have beautiful, come out very pretty. I loved it, guys. So that's how I did it. This all fondant, you get it easily in the stores. You get colored fondant, or you also get white fondant, which you have to color it. I have used all Sugarin and Wilton colors with the Wilton food edible pens. You get any good quality, you can go for it. Then I also made some checkboards, because you know it's a racing car, so checkboard is a must for it. So it will look pretty when I place the checkboards in the base of the car. So I did that, and the car was ready. This is the shape. This is what I did. Just sharing some pictures of the final car and the birthday party, and it was very beautiful. The kids loved the flavor, and the cake was finished in no time, guys. So that's the birthday. Happy birthday to you. Lovely. We all really had a wonderful time celebrating his birthday. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Hope you all like this video. Share as much as you can. See you soon with another next video. Until then, Allah Hafiz.